A lot of parents of toddlers come to me saying that parenting isn't working. Maybe everything they're doing just doesn't seem to be helping this certain behavior. Or maybe they have no clue what they're doing, and so they're just convinced that nothing is worth even doing anymore. So today I'm going to talk you through how to make sure that we are gauging our success on the right things. Working, right, is a relative term, so make sure that we're kind of looking at the right evidence to see if it is working or not. And mainly I just want to give you some encouragement. It can be very disheartening and very discouraging when we can't control our toddler's behavior. A lot of parents will gauge their success on their toddler's behavior. Parenting isn't working because they are still throwing tantrums. Parenting isn't working because they are still doing this certain thing. And what we all need to realize is we are not in control of anyone else's actions, anyone else's behaviors, including our toddler. They are their own person. They're going to be making their own choices. And so right off the bat, I need you to realize that the goal of parenting is not to control your toddler. The goal of parenting is not to create a little robot that will do everything you say. So when we say, is parenting working? I want you to add a little phrase. We're gonna do two things. Is parenting working for me as the parent? And then we're gonna talk about, is parenting working for my child? So first off, ask yourself, is parenting working for me? Am I enjoying the experience? Am I doing what feels good and natural to me? Am I doing the things that make me proud of my efforts? Am I putting in the amount of time that I would like? Make sure that all of your parenting efforts and all that you're doing is working for you. A lot of times we'll find ourselves in the trap, especially during the toddler stage, where we are trying too hard to either control, or we're trying too hard to fit our toddler in this certain box. I see this a lot with potty training. I do have a video I will link, but potty training, your child is going to do that when they're ready to do that. We as parents absolutely can be nudging them, or we can be really trying to get them to do that certain thing at a certain time. But as the parent, if that's draining, if that's exhausting, if that makes your life miserable, you want to take a second look at that. A lot of the things that we do every single day are totally optional. We're really responsible for some very few simple things, offering food, shelter, safety, love, and so many other things. We are kind of putting on ourselves thinking that we should do that, or that parenting is working if they're potty trained by 2 years old, let's say. So take a good long look at that. Look at your daily routine, your rhythm. What in there might not be working for you? It either just doesn't make you really enjoy your days, or maybe it doesn't make you feel quite right, the way you handle certain things, and just narrow it down to that. Because if we can get to a point where we say, yeah, I'm enjoying this parenting journey enough. Every day is not perfect, of course, but in general, if I'm pretty happy with the way things are going, and if I'm proud of how I'm showing up for my child, if you are answering those questions and you're feeling good about what you're doing, you can decide it is working. Because look at you. You're enjoying it. You're being the person you want to be, right? So now, is parenting working for your toddler? Now this one gets a little bit trickier because each child is so individual. So yes, we meet those basic needs that I just listed, right? By law, we need to be taking care of them in that way. If all those boxes are checked, we're going to go a little deeper, and we're going to really learn age-appropriate expectations for our toddler to make sure that our toddler is in the realm of what's normal and healthy at this stage of life. The main things I want you to realize is there are a long list of age-appropriate behavior that is not ideal, that is not awesome. Such things would be tantrums and meltdowns. Are they expressing their emotions in that way? If the answer is yes, they're healthy. They're they're in a good spot. Another thing is aggression. Hitting, kicking, biting. That is normal for a toddler to explore that for a bit. And I think I will say right now, before I even get into the list more, as we talk about is parenting working, you do want to see a decline in these things, right? This list of behaviors. If parenting's working, you will see a decline. And it's not to say they're going to go away. Those things are going to be normal. And so you need to keep that in mind, but you're just kind of gauging from your perspective and knowing your child, is it working? So, man, they just will not stop hitting me. That to me is a problem that maybe, yes, you need to change your approach a bit, right? So our job as a parent, why it's so tricky is our child is constantly evolving, and so our parenting needs to constantly evolve as well. I definitely regularly will realize, okay, this aspect of parenting isn't really working anymore. My child is older, or they're in a new stage, or they're in a new phase where they're doing this certain thing. So then I have to adapt. So that's why it's super important to see what's age appropriate, what's normal for my child, and then is there anything that I do need to change, or do I feel like, you know what, I'm handling things the way I feel like I should, so we're just going to let it play out. Other normal toddler behavior is more independence, which can look like some defiance, testing boundaries. They're really exploring, like, I'm my own person and I get to make my own decisions, and I am getting even more control over myself, and so I'm going to be testing those boundaries. And that's very normal, and the opportunity is ours to just be teaching them what boundaries we need to hold firm on, what things they can just be allowed to do and handle on their own. It's all those, it's kind of a big balancing act that we are doing as the parent. Some other things that are definitely normal to some degree in the toddler stage is difficulty sharing with peers or with siblings. Also, selective eating. I don't call my kids picky. I try to not label them, but selective eating is definitely a real thing, and I have some videos on food that I can link, but you want to make sure that you're handling that in the way that you want to. Another thing that can happen during the toddler stage is sleep struggles. That can happen really at any point, but with your toddler kind of evolving through their naps and bedtimes, that can definitely have an impact on their sleep. And so you want to take a really good look at their sleep to make sure that is something you try to help them through. If your toddler is not sleeping well, anything and everything can get so much worse. If they're tired, it's just going to be harder for them to cope. Just like for us, if we're not well rested, we just can't show up as our best. So that's just a starting point for recognizing there are a lot of things that are age appropriate, and just because they're age appropriate doesn't make it acceptable. So that's where our boundaries come in, that's where our consistency comes in, and all the things that we talk about, how to interact with your toddler to make sure that parenting is working, not only for you, but for your toddler. We want to use these critical early years to lay the groundwork, to lay the foundation, which leads me to this video coming up next where I talked all about that. It's an investment right now, right here, right now, where you're at with your toddler. It's an investment. And even if you're feeling discouraged, you're feeling like it's not working, keep going, and you will see and be able to recognize how important it really is. The time you're spending right now, you're laying the groundwork. So check out that video coming up next, and I'll see you soon.